So now, if you're trying to, kick it with somebody, is that an okay term? What do you guys say if you're trying to holler at somebody? What does your generation say?
Hit her up or
Hit her up,
something.
hit her up, or hit him up. Okay.
Slide in the DMs.
Slide in
Okay,
the
we're trying to slide in the DMs.
Yes.
Is that the only option, to slide in the DMs? What are the ways that what's your preferred mode of communication if you're trying to,
It depends on the scenario.
No, you like somebody and you want to get to know them better. You want
on one-on-one or like on
Yes.
socials.
Like someone you've seen on Instagram who's like a fire babe or something.
Wait. Okay. Let's unpack that. Okay. You said like someone on Instagram who's a fire babe.
Yeah.
Okay. Even the sentence, I'm not sure I understand. A fire babe is like a celebrity?
No, like a fine
girl.
Fine. Fine or Fire? Fire?
Beautiful girl.
Essentially a beautiful girl.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So does this fire babe, is this somebody you know? Or is this somebody one of your friends?
It can be any, really.
Rick, you're out of pocket for that.
She's my woman, a special lady. She's the only one.
Selam and hello everyone. My name is Lilly Piper and thank you for tuning in. So recently we asked you, our beloved listeners, to tell us what you wanted to hear more of. We asked you to tell us what was working, what wasn't, what you wanted to hear about on the show. We were delighted to hear from so many of you and also a bit surprised about what you suggested. At the top of the list of the ideas of what you would like to hear more of from Selam and Hello was more from young people and more from men. So Becky, Rahma, and I, my producing team, we're really excited about that. We just couldn't agree more. Absolutely, yes. We wanted to also hear more from young people and in particular young men. So all throughout the month of May, we are going to be focusing on stories from real people that could be your brother, son, friend. Not every conversation will be with young men, I have to say, but we are going to be talking to real people. Up until now in 2023, we've had the good fortune of talking to some of Africa's and the diaspora's great thinkers and leaders and innovators. We have been so honored to learn from so many people. But we also know that we have so much to learn from the people who are in our everyday lives, who sit with us at lunch, who go to work with us, who are in our classrooms, who are our cousins and our mothers and our friends. And so this month is all of those stories from real people. And today we are talking to some members of Gen Z. I'm not sure if you are aware that Gen Z is the most populous generation on planet Earth today. It's really quite incredible. In Africa in particular, Gen Z makes up 31% of our population, according to the UN, 31% of Gen Z. And if you weren't aware already, Gen Z are those people born between 1997 and 2011 or so. So these people are between 12 and 26. And if you're like me, you have a lot of Gen Z in your life. I am a mother, so I have 4 Gen Z children, but just in our community, whether it's in church or in other spaces, social spaces, cultural spaces, Gen Z is a growing and active and alive generation. We cannot ignore them. They are the first generation to grow up with the internet, with portable digital technology, and with social media. Their whole lives, screens have been a part of how they understand themselves, how they understand others, how they understand culture. They are a unique generation, and we're just starting to get a little bit of data to understand them better. That data tells us a lot of things. Tells us that they really value mental health and self-care. It also tells us that mental health is one of their biggest concerns. That data tells us that this generation is wildly diverse and they believe in and value diversity. They're also very socially justice minded and oriented. This is a generation that's not going to put up with a workforce or a school setting or other places that are, a monolith. They want to see people from all across the world in different spaces, languages, ethnic makeup in the places that they live and work. I think that's a really powerful and interesting part of who they are. This group is also pretty self-directed and confident, and they're very aware of the troubled planet in which they live. This is a generation that came about during a time where terrorism was commonplace. the climate is in duress. The planet feels like it's melting. They are very aware of the challenges of refugees, of racism, of poverty. They are leaning into these problems and concerned. It's also a generation that really is post kind of Judeo-Christian values. These are the children of generations that really consider themselves unaffiliated with faith. So we have a whole generation of young people who are maybe open to questions of faith, but not necessarily inclined to be of faith themselves. And interestingly enough, it's also the first generation that we've seen that would not describe themselves overwhelmingly so as completely heterosexual. So what do I mean by that? A recent survey in 2016 of gender and sexuality by the Walter Thompson Company, which is a U.S. company, so it's important to note that this research is not coming out of the continent, found that only 48% of 13 to 20-year-olds describe themselves as completely heterosexual. That means half of this generation consider themselves somewhere else, a little bit more fluid in the gender and sexual identity space. So this generation is asking a lot of questions of other generations. We're trying to figure them out as they enter the workforce, as they're in our homes, as they're in our restaurants, as they're in our places of business. And I'm really glad that today 4 young men, all part of Gen Z, have joined Selam and Hello just to talk about life, themselves, who they are, and how they are understanding the world today. So I've said a lot in the ways of an introduction, and I'm really excited for you to meet our guests. So I'm going to turn the mic over to my guests and ask each of them to introduce themselves, their name, their age, and in brief, kind of what they do or who they are right now. All right, so Rick, we'll start with you.
Hi, salam and hello. My name is Rick Alonso. I'm a recording, mixing, mastering engineer. So basically sound engineer. I'm 23 years old.
Beautiful.
Hi guys, my name is Philo, or you can call me Philip Koth. I'm currently a creative director at Pesos Nairobi and an A&R. Yeah.
Once again, hello, my name is Thomas Seward, 19 years old, and I'm a filmmaker and photographer based in Nairobi, Kenya.
I'm Silas Piper. I'm 18 years old, and I'm a musician.
All right. And I should say that all of these individuals are somewhere in the creative space. So we have a creative and I think a vocal group of young men here, which I'm really excited to talk to today. So thank you, all of you, for being on the show. We were talking beforehand about how we really want to understand Gen Z because y'all, I think the phrase is hit different. Is that right? Is that right? Yeah, okay. Thank you for not laughing out loud. But you guys are different. You know, you're engaging with the world differently. You're moving through the world differently. So let me start by reading to you a definition of how people are defining you. And I just want to hear from you if you think this definition is accurate. Okay, so this definition is from an academic from Stanford University. So it's a little bit heavy in text, but I just want to see if you vibe with this definition. They say that a typical Gen Zer is self-driven, who cares deeply about others, strives for a diverse community, is highly collaborative and social, values flexibility, relevance, authenticity, and non-hierarchical leadership. While dismayed about inherited issues like climate change, Gen Z does have a pragmatic attitude about the work that has to be done to address those issues. Do you think that that is a fair description of your generation or of you?
I think it's like our generation, or Gen Z, they're like the people who trying to get out of the box or the matrix. They just want to live their life like free spirits. With that, like I partly agree with the definition, kind of.
Okay. What part resonates with you?
Kind of like the next line.
The last line.
Yeah.
That you have... You're pragmatic about the work that has to be done to address the challenges. Yeah. So what are some of the ways that you are looking at the world and seeing yourself as being pragmatic or having solutions?
I think solutions, they use the old ways to handle stuff. And us guys just think about creative ways of just solving things on our best level. Yeah.
Okay.
Than the old traditional ways like sending pamphlets, TV, radio. So if a Gen Z was to be tasked with solve a climate issue, it will be different.
So for you in your work right now, for example, how are you seeing what you're doing as different than perhaps somebody 10 years your senior?
Yeah, we have like some sustainability projects. We go buy things like old denim, we refurbish them to new clothes where that people rock. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I agree with the definition you've set in all ways but one. I feel as though the current society, the Gen Z society, is more withdrawn. Like we are more selfish in the way we manage our time and the way we also concentrate that time towards socializing and interacting with people because of the nuclear family setup, which has kind of like constrained some things to some extent in the aspect of socialization and actually engagement with the wider world. But then also there's this thing called selective engagement where you only engage where you feel your presence and your skills and whatever you have at your disposal will be properly appreciated and not be wasted. That's also another thing, not wasting your energy or your talent on things that may inhibit your progress, essentially. But that's, yeah.
So you're only 19.
Yes.
So at 19, what are how are you making sure that you're not wasting your time? Because that's a big question at 19.
Yeah, that's a bit of a big question because most people at the age of 19, I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else, but the general conception is that it's time to just experiment and live your life and just enjoy your life before things get serious in your adult years. But generally, say the question again.
Well, I'm just curious. You were saying that your generation, you feel like you are not trying to waste your time, right? Did I understand you correctly?
Yes.
So at 19, what are some of the ways that you're like, what are the decisions you're making to reflect that? To say like, I'm not going to waste my time, so I'm going to do X.
Involve my time in things that will actually motivate and construct my future in a good way, like taking care of my academics, because at the end of the day, what you do in your academics will properly reflect on who you are as a person and your morals and all that. I mean, that's not the full picture, but it somewhat contributes to that in a very relevant, pertinent way. And also cultivating friendships, and especially with family. You know, a family is a very big pillar of one's personality and disposition. So it's very important to maintain that to an extent where it will help you in life. And paying attention to the things that actually matter in life, so such as your well-being, your mental health. As you said previously, it's one of the main things that we worry about as a generation, and so on. Yeah. Things that motivate or encourage continuous improvement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Silas, what are your thoughts?
I think Gen Z is it's a group of people that like tends to follow many different things. Like I feel like we're very heavily influenced, easily influenced. But I also do think that like there's the motivation to pursue something is very much like internal. Like if anything, you know, external like suggestions from people around those of Gen Z are like they're like kind of Gen Z tends to push back against that.
Like you could say we are more receptive of information?
Yeah, receptive of information, but I think when it comes to the word like self-driven, that drive is not from someone else. Like it's very much like internalized, but at the same time though, I feel like it's hard because Gen Z it's a large group of people, as you said. There's so many of them, so there's a lot of different like subsections, if you will. There's a lot of people that are like, you know, have that passion, they focus it, you know, for internally, but there's also people that are more consumers, and those are the people that I mean when they're like easily influenced.
I mean, it's a huge age gap. I mean, the youngest Gen Z are going to be 11-ish, 12-ish. The older are going to be 26. And so even as we're talking, I mean, I really am asking for you personally, and then maybe your peer group, you know, the ones that you spend the most time with, how you would respond to these questions. Because you're right, it's hard to represent an entire generation. But at the same time, I think if we don't ask these questions, it's very hard for us to understand. I think what happens sometimes between generations is that we kid each other a lot. It's like, oh, that's such a Gen Z thing to do. Or like, okay, boomer, you know how you guys are, shaming us on TikTok and whatnot, you know? So I think it's an effort to be like, okay, how do we break down in between there and understand truly each other? So let me keep diving in. How many of you start your day on social media? Rick, everybody but Thomas? Yeah,
No,
not Thomas is not. Okay, so of the three of you that do start on social, how much time are you spending on social first thing in the morning on average? Would you say? Like Rick?
In the morning, I
Yeah.
think like it depends really.
Okay.
If I have the time,
Yeah, if you have the
I
time.
will push it.
Okay.
But
What does that mean?
like let's say like a Sunday.
Yeah.
I wake
sure.
up on a Sunday, I have nothing to do. I'll be online.
You know, social
I
media-
will be online.
social media is like a deep dive, bro. If you get
Yeah.
something that you like and then it starts suggesting
Yeah.
other things,
Yeah.
now you're
Mm.
going like,
You go down the rabbit hole.
yeah,
Yeah.
bro, you can't even stop. And then now you'll just have to start, because now you're fighting like concentration. Like that's like that's the hardest thing to do right now with our generation. Just our concentration span is so little.
True.
Like you'll be here, and then you just feel like you want to do this. Yeah.
Mhm.
If you don't have like a good work schedule, you get yourself, you haven't done anything.
yeah.
So you have to like balance a bit.
And be disciplined.
you
to
see.
some
What's
extent.
what's making you laugh?
No, I mean I'm the person he's talking to, like about those people. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, if without control, yeah, because the algorithms are so good, you know, just Instagram, TikTok, Spotify. The Spotify algorithm is so good, you know. It's like a battle with the algorithms, because yeah, my attention span is so tiny right now. Like, I watch like a sped up video and I speed it up again,
Yeah.
you know. Like if
Wow.
it's more than 1 minute, that's a lot.
Yeah, like 15 seconds,
15
man.
seconds,
That's
yeah,
so
max.
long.
It's like a
Wow.
dopamine effect.
Okay, so let me
Yeah.
talk to Thomas and Silas then, because you guys are a little bit on the younger than Philo and Rick.
Yes.
With this kind of attention grab, and you're in the classroom academic settings, how does that affect your learning and your ability to learn? Because teachers are not teaching, or professors aren't professing with 15-second lessons, you know?
To a large extent.
Hmm.
Most of the time we have guys who are really working hard in the term. It looks like they are working hard, but when you go to the end of the term, it doesn't echo what you've been. It doesn't reflect that at all. But even on my end, I'm also having to deal with that because I also use social media. I don't use it in the morning, but I use it during the day. It takes an adverse effect on that. There are times when I'm working on my homework and I do essay-based subjects for my curriculum, and it's very hard to actually grasp a certain concept. It's very difficult, and you're like, where did my mind go, you know? What's
So
all
you
this
feel
about?
it. You feel that impact.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really not good. And so I don't know. It just takes some time to like reconstitute your memory and your mind state by, you know, giving in to what social media has done to your head, and just going with the flow and accepting that, yeah, this is life. Let me try and adapt to it, because also one element of human development or evolution is adaptation, you know. So we have to move with the times. We just can't be stuck in a place, because we'll be left behind.
Silas, how about you in a classroom, which you have just still kind of in? How does that affect your ability to learn, do you think?
Yeah, so I'm still a senior in high school, so senioritis is like, I have a very bad case of that, you know. So like in class, it's so hard to like pay attention, and I don't know if that's an effect of trying to finish school, or if it's an effect of like, you know, attention spans being like affected by like the amount of like duration of media. But I tend to like try to do a lot of work on the music side, like during class as well, because it's hard to do like focus on one thing at a time, you know. Like I'll write songs in class. I'll like, you know, be texting people during class.
Just multitasking all the time.
Multitasking,
Yeah.
Wait, like you guys go with phones to school.
Yeah, we have phones at school.
So like that's different. It's
Yeah,
different.
Yeah. You were not allowed phones in school.
Yeah.
Yeah. Different schools, different systems.
Yeah. But you know, like I think the real problem here is like, so imagine the guys who are like 14, 13 now.
Yeah.
I think that's where the real problem is gonna be. You
For
know?
sure. We'll probably do a part 2 with those, that generation, because you're right. They're
Yeah.
hitting some
Because
real
imagine
challenges.
someone who's like 12 by the time he's like 20, 21, like, yo,
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
fried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It starts with the cocoa melon.
Cocoa melon. Yeah.
It starts from there.
I'm sorry, I'm a bit of a boomer. What's a cocomelon?
You don't have like a small
You don't have
small
nieces.
sibling.
It's
Oh,
like
small
it's a kid
Yeah,
show.
it's a kid
yeah.
show.
Oh my goodness.
But that's so interesting.
And Peppa
So-
Pig.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Peppa
Peppa
Pig.
Pig. All right, all
Peppa
right.
Pig.
That's kind of old though, no?
And if you chill with the kids, you just see them trying to act like those cartoons.
Oh
They
yeah,
start
for
running,
sure.
even the way they shout. It's like it gets in them.
Even the accents, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
And they
you
know
are you
them.
worried about the kids behind you? Do you feel
Yeah.
like
see, I
this
have
effect?
I have a small nephew.
Hmm.
Just check it. Say wow, but now I have to take him outside to do other things. Because if you just leave him on the phone, now imagine if you're saying guys at 14, 12.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're worried. It's a good thing to be on that advanced mode with phones, but it's still not good. You have to balance it out.
What's not good about it?
The part that is addictive.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Because I think also like we're like online, right? But I mean on a weekend I can still go, I don't know, like Karura, or we can meet up, hang out, you know. But I think for like when I see my cousins, my younger cousins, like they can just stay indoors and just, you know, just with like an iPad or watching stuff the whole day. So I might be bad, but at least I'll go out.
Yeah, and you've had your time. Cause like,
yeah,
Touch some grass.
When, like,
Outside.
yeah, like Tyson and I, or Thomas and I, sorry, when we were like in elementary school, middle school, we were still like running outside, you know, like you know, on a playground, like without devices. But like,
Yes.
if you're growing up with that, because it probably has effects on your upbringing, you know, because like us, like the older side of Gen Z has still had that childhood where it's like somewhat technology free, or like to an extent. But if that comes like with you throughout that upbringing, then like, you know, it kind of takes away that kind of child innocence almost, because you're exposed to a lot as well, or you have access to so much.
So let me ask you this. What is your preferred mode of communication with a friend? And let me give you a scenario and give you context, because I know it could change. Let's say a friend you haven't seen them in a while. They're coming back from somewhere and it's like reunion time. You just want to connect, right? It's just excited to see that person, catch up. What's your preferred mode of doing that?
Like in person, really.
Okay,
In
so
person,
7%?
100%.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Philo, what do you
In
think?
person. You
Yeah.
have to meet up.
Okay. Rick?
Oh, yeah, me too, in person.
Okay.
If you've
that-
never
that-
seen it for a long time.
Yeah, okay, that's so encouraging. Okay, what about conflict? Let's say you're struggling, this person's not getting you, you're having an issue. So not, again, personal, not necessarily a business issue, but you're really not seeing eye to eye. What's your preferred mode of communication for that?
Digital means of communication to
Digital.
prevent any fallout that may arise from meeting physically.
What makes you prefer the digital for that, Thomas?
I feel when you're physical, you sort of can't control your behavior and your emotions. But now that you're away from that person and you're not really seeing eye to eye, or sort of, you can sort of like regulate your mind state and your behavior, and some would come to terms and probably understand the situation that you're in and come to a reasonable agreement.
Me, I would prefer not to text. I'll prefer just to hear him out, like on a voice
On a
call.
call, yeah, on a call.
You'd call.
Because you'll interpret the text
Okay.
wrong and then it will
Okay.
escalate. So you just have to get his voice.
So not in person, maybe a phone call for this.
Yeah,
A phone
okay.
call, yeah.
Okay. All right. That's so interesting, because in some ways the digital tools that you've grown up with now can actually, in your case, Thomas, you're like, okay, can help me. In this way, it can be a tool for me. I don't have to just see them in person. Okay, what about a different situation where, and this is my observation, you know, when I was in high school, it was a while ago, 20 plus years ago, if you wanted to ask somebody out, you want to start a relationship, you had very few choices. Either you write them a paper letter on paper that came from a tree, you know, and was made into paper, or you talk to them in person. Because if you call the house, the parents are going to answer, right? There's no personal phones here. So now, if you're trying to, you know, kick it with somebody, is that an okay term? What do you guys say if you're trying to holler at somebody? What does your generation say?
Hit her up or
Hit her up,
something.
hit her up,
them
or
up.
hit them up. Okay.
Slide in the DMs.
Slide
Slide
in
okay,
DMs.
we're trying to slide in the DMs.
Yes.
Is that the only option, to slide in the DMs? What are the ways that what's your preferred mode of communication if you're trying to, you know?
It depends on the scenario. Like,
No, you like somebody and you want to get to know them better. You want
like
to,
on one-on-one or like on
Yes.
socials.
Like someone you've seen on Instagram who's like a
Oh.
fire babe or something.
wait, let's unpack that. Okay, you said like someone on Instagram who's a fire babe.
Yeah.
Okay, even that sentence, I'm not sure I understand. A fire babe is like a celebrity?
No, like a fine
girl.
Fine. Fine or Fire? Fire?
Beautiful girl.
Essentially, a beautiful girl.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So does this fire babe, is this somebody you know? Or is this somebody who, like somebody, one of your friends?
It can be any, really.
Rick, you're out of pocket for that.
Really, am I?
Okay, why is he out of pocket?
Personally, if you really want to get to know somebody, you need to know them really well. People these days treat
No, I don't
relationships
know.
like they are disposable.
Come again with your question. What was your
Okay,
question?
No,
My-
but like you've seen, the thing is, like
let's
you've
get the
seen
question.
like
Let's get the
fire
question.
babes on your IG, and
Come
you
on.
kind of.
Okay, so maybe let me ask
What
the
is the
question again.
question?
So my question is, so I had asked two previous questions where you haven't seen a friend in a while, you want to connect, what's your preferred mode? Everybody said in person. I want to see my friend in person. You're having a conflict, different preferences. So now I'm saying you've been vibing with somebody, maybe this is where the disconnect comes. Like, so
you
because
know
you're
her.
saying,
Oh, you know her.
Oh, you know her.
well, I guess I was assuming, and this is an assumption, maybe that's a generational difference. I was assuming you wouldn't want to necessarily get to know somebody unless you do know her. But I guess what you're saying is that I could just see somebody on social and want to get to know her.
Yeah.
Is that what I'm understanding? You?
Wait.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Yeah.
let me-
Wait. What?
What you see?
In my perspective, you have to get to know the person really well because
Yeah, but then how would you
You
get
saw
to know
someone
her?
that
You'll
you
have to
did
slide
like.
into the DMs.
yes, but you don't do it in such a aggressive manner. Just take it easy.
How?
Is it
No,
aggressive
but like,
if you slide into
wait,
the DMs? Is that
it's not
aggressive?
aggressive
slide
sliding
to
to
DMs.
DMs.
Okay, let me ask this. How did the last relationship you were in? Keep in mind that this is a podcast listened
No,
to
it's
even
open.
by families.
I can even.
How
I can
did you
volunteer.
start that last relationship? How did it start?
The previous one, I feel this one was a bit formal because I think you may notice now that I'm a very formal person. So
Yes,
what
I
I
will
did.
note that you are the one guy wearing khaki pants and leather shoes at this interview. Yes.
All right. With the previous one,
Uh-huh.
what happened was Valentine's Day was approaching, and I thought, what is the best way to make this something of an event? Like, I don't want to just be the common guy who is sliding in her DMs, just like out of over the 20 plus people, candidates vying for the position, I need to stand out. So what I thought was, let me try and bring some sort of coalescence or combination of the best of digital and physical. So I thought, I'm going to write her an official correspondence, a letter,
Oh no way!
Thomas, you're a different guy.
a 2-3 paragraph letter
Okay.
stating my intention and itinerary for the day, along with an invitation should you choose to accept.
Yo,
I will be available on this day from this time to this time, and I will send it as a PDF via WeTransfer to her DMs.
if I was the show,
No lie.
I would be
Okay,
afraid.
guys. Okay, no. Let's hear him out.
I'll be afraid.
So you sent a PDF via WeTransfer to her DMs with this beautiful invitation.
Yeah, official correspondence.
Official correspondence.
By virtue of even I was in the MU and I even put an official UN logo on the thing.
Can we just give him mad props for that? This is so impressive. Kindly tell us how it went.
Wow.
It went well.
It went well. You see that? Okay, and she responded positively.
She responded positively, although I had to call her up first because she was freaking out in the messages. She's like, what is this?
Exactly.
Steve,
So,
You've
so I asked her.
don't let's be afraid.
I just asked her. It was very open ended. I'm like, what do you think? She's like, yes, I'm down, of course. But that was after she told me later on that she had to really talk to the women's council, the girls group chat,
Yeah.
for additional verification. Those procedures.
I hate
because
But
you
it
were,
worked
because
out,
you were
man.
so different than the other kind of slide in the
They had
DMs.
never encountered that species. They've
Yeah.
never encountered that. But yeah, it worked out, and we had a great day.
Alright.
That went well.
It's still
Okay.
together.
No.
I think like the last chick I slid into the DMs, like to get to know her.
Yeah.
I PDF, bro. Nah. No, I think it's like you start from like commenting from the stories and stuff.
Oh,
start
no.
conversation.
You like
from
the
there.
stories?
We got the
I
highlights.
No, I don't
We got
like the
highlights.
stories. No, maybe I do sometimes. Like the
You like the story, and
thirst
then?
traps.
Yeah, you like the story. And
They're
you
like
don't
the
comment
love
on
eye
the story.
emojis and the fire ones.
Ah,
Ah.
I do that.
Bro.
why? Oh,
This
Rick.
is a little
No,
bit
it's a
romantic,
reaction,
at
like
least.
the Instagram reaction.
But you,
and then
Father
I slide.
Bernard.
No, I don't do that all the
Father
time.
Bernard, man.
And
Come
then
on.
and then what's the next? When do you start to use words?
Actually, I just started like from there. Used what she, because I knew like what she does. Like she's like kind of in the art scene, architecture stuff. So I was like, yeah, I know a bit of like like Bauhaus. What's it called? Like the German thingy.
Bauhaus.
Bauhaus.
Yeah.
Yeah, just started conversation from
That
there.
architectural riz, eh?
Yeah,
Okay.
architectural riz. That's what I'm
Right.
talking about.
Let's
You
go.
need Thomas to coach you. Just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. Okay. So
Yeah,
you start
but I
with the
feel like that's
emojis
like
and then
that's
you go.
more
Okay.
authentic
Okay.
than I've seen some of my friends who just go straight up and they're like, "Yo, what's up? Hey, yo, ma, you fire? I'm trying to
course.
link up. Now that sucks. I am not that person,
Okay.
Thomas.
And to be fair,
get it
there's
wrong.
just the generation before you did the exact same thing in person, in words, at a club. They would do the same thing. I mean, that's, you know what I mean? You guys are just doing it on digital, but it
Yes.
But
definitely
we do
happened
it
before.
in person too.
But like in person,
Yeah,
is way
person
better,
is
in my
better.
opinion.
It's very tense because you don't know what they might think. It's better just send it on digitally and just hope for the outcome instead of having to face rejection.
No.
No,
I
prefer-
prefer-
no, no,
face-to-face.
no, I
Okay,
prefer in
Silas,
person,
you're
I
making a
prefer
lot of noise. So what's your approach?
My approach.
You're making so much noise over
Silence.
there.
The audacity.
My approach, first of all, like on Instagram, like I don't know if you're following these people. I don't follow like girls really.
My man.
Yeah, I don't follow.
That's the way.
I don't remember the last time I like tried to reach out and like
Okay, so what's your approach?
I don't have an approach. They find an approach. I don't have an
Oh,
approach.
they come to
Oh,
you.
okay.
Yeah, that's the
Mysterious, eh?
Yeah.
Mr.
That-
Frank
that
Ocean, eh?
is
All right.
okay.
See it. It's
Okay.
showbiz, huh?
Wow.
Yeah.
Showbiz.
Okay, Philo,
Showbiz.
let's just go to you for your answer.
I just
What was the last relationship you started and how did it start?
I have to tell you a story about like an old relationship.
Mm.
So it started like from a club. So I met this shorty, and
Go ahead.
yeah,
Ignore
I'm
them.
telling you a
Go ahead.
story. Bro.
Yes, I'm listening.
We're
I'm
listening. We appreciate
Yeah.
it. Thank you.
So we were at some club in SC. Got
we
this shorty. She was drunk, yeah. So I had to get her cab home. So we took a cab, took her to their place, and then I started talking because she was like interested. Now this is what happened.
This is in the cab ride home
No, like this the day after.
the day after.
It
Thank
was
you.
like, oh,
So
thank
she
you.
arrived safely
Yeah,
and
she
you
was
left her
like-
alone.
They're like, oh, thank you, got me home, da da da. Said, okay. Then we were supposed to meet up. So we met up for lunch. After that, the third day, she was like, when is your birthday? And then I told her. She was like, hey, my birthday's in this date. And then she said she's like a Pisces, and then I'm a Gemini. And then she just sent like a screenshot of compatibility.
Oh, no.
And then she was like, yo, bro, I don't think we can like have a good match because of that. You know,
Because of the horoscope.
Really? So
Yeah.
it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Oh.
See, like that's the craziest part.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But like
That's
afterwards,
alright.
I hate that so much.
Okay.
man.
And then what
Yeah.
happened?
Yeah.
And then what happened?
Nah, she just
Doesn't?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing about them. They just fade away.
You know, like
Mm.
they believe in that thing. Like
Horoscopes.
Mm.
Interesting.
It's
was
not even
like-
how you're supposed to
that was
control
like
that though. It's not even.
2018 times. But now these days just
Hmm.
these days is smooth.
Smooth. Your game is improved.
It's not like my
Interesting.
game is theirs.
It's just theirs. Their game is improved.
Approved riz, yeah.
So
All
let's
right.
talk about that in terms of being young men in particular, because we are all in Nairobi, so you're Nairobians, and this is your context. Young men for your generation, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to identity and culture, when it talks about even your position in your family and how you're relating to your family members, how do you define or understand masculinity?
That's a good question. Personally, I believe defining one's masculinity is making sure that they are in control of themselves and that they are also in line with that trait of being a Gen Z, as in now having self-drive. And now, in terms of masculinity, now using that as an amplifier to that extent. But yeah.
Okay.
To be honest, for me, I think it's more of okay, maybe like comparing myself with maybe like older men.
Sure.
Sounds weird. Like parents, uncles, and stuff. I'd say the one thing, as much as they think they're masculine, I don't think they're masculine as much as they think they are, because these guys are just not in touch with the I don't know, like the emotional side.
Yes, 100%.
That's the one thing
I agree
I'd
with that.
say.
Mhm.
For me, it makes you. I think a man should have, emotions and stuff. Not all this like, oh, I'm tough. Ooh,
No, it's
wow.
like they are creating a persona.
Yeah.
See, like imagine now I'm like this.
Mhm.
This age. I just feel I'm cool, and then you become a dad. You want to be a dad. Like the society dad.
Yes.
You should be just Philip. If you're Philip, just be Philip forever. Like
Yeah.
with your kids, just be cool. You don't have to create a persona like I'm a dad. You have to protect your kids. Like so you like your small peoples. You have to put them in the right direction, but you don't need to change the fact that you yourself.
Yes, that you're still a human being.
Yeah, this like most of the parents, they just that's where
Yeah.
like we don't get to connect with them because they're creating a persona.
Yeah, they're not themselves.
They want to be like the society good parent, and which that's not the case. You just need to be yourself with your children.
It's like this quote that I know: "Perfection is the enemy of progress." To some extent.
Cyrus, what do you think?
I think it's a good question. I think it's something that's like masculinity is like a concept that's been like changing, like the past like decades. So I think it's a concept that's like very much, it can't really be defined by like your physical capabilities, but I feel like that's something that is important. I feel like it's also it's a lot. That kind of question it brings up a lot of things because, you don't want to be caught saying the wrong thing and then like people.
Does it make you uncomfortable? The question.
No, it doesn't make me uncomfortable. It's just that like people can sometimes take answers from this and then the cancel culture. If you're caught saying the wrong thing.
Taking things out of context.
Exactly, taking the things out of context. I do think that like masculinity again is a concept that should be defined for multiple areas.
How do you define it for yourself?
For myself? It's a good question. I don't know. I have to think about that more.
Okay.
But I think there are elements on your like emotional, mental, and physical state. I think I think that all of those three components will.
I think like the best description for me is like masculinity is about how just being comfortable with yourself, really. Yeah.
So let's break that down now to our African culture and masculinity here. And I had a guest on a couple of months ago, Samba Yonga, who started a women's history museum of Zambia. And she talked about how patriarchy was a European concept that was brought into the continent because in many of our societies, of course, Africa is not a monolith, but in many of our societies, there were matriarchal leadership. There were women who were ruling, who governed, et cetera, but colonialism, et cetera, really kind of twisted some of those lines. And she really made the argument that patriarchy is not necessarily something inherently African. But nonetheless, we have now perfected patriarchy in the continent in so many ways. How do you see your generation engaging around those issues of how masculinity shows up in culture, in terms of relationships, in terms of power, in terms of how you're relating to women in society, how we relate, in Kenya, there's still a lot of laws that, determine how we relate to one another. If not written down laws, there are cultural norms that still govern a lot of our lives. So how do you think your generation is responding or pushing back on some of those norms? Or are you? How do you see yourself as African men? Maybe that's a better way to simplify the question.
I think, say that question again.
Do you see yourself as African men? Let me put it maybe simply.
Yes, to some extent, yes. But, due to the digital age and all these influences coming from abroad, it's become a bit skewed because we are trying to now be in tune with the Western world or with in the world at large, as opposed to being more introspective of our individual culture and all that stuff. So we have to come to a very delicate balance. Should we listen to our patriarchal leaders, or even to the politicians and all that stuff? Or should we listen to ourselves or what we know of what we've learned lately per our generation or per this time in history where information is all over the place? You know, you go on the internet, there are so many ways of expressing oneself and all these opinions. How do we digest all these so that we can also maintain our identity as African men?
Okay.
Yeah.
Philo, you look like you were gonna say
Yeah,
something.
for me, I'll say like I'm an African man to the core, in the sense that, you know, when we were young, we used to be taken to the rural village, and then you just see how these guys interact with each other. And then now you're going back, seeing how things have developed, and some of the norms have been dropped down, and they've picked up others just to continue with whatever they've been doing. So I feel like I'm an African man, but I'm still with the Western side. Like, I just take in things and then balance them out.
Okay, you've been very, very diplomatic in your answer. So, what makes you African, and what makes you, do you think, Western, as you said?
Let me say, having personally,
Yeah, personally, just for you.
you know, having not been raised with a dad, so I've never have like a father figure to look up to. So, and me, now whatever you take in, like some guy, like some other musicians that I just look up to, what they do, the things. Someone like Skepta, whenever I listen to his music, I feel like it's like he's talking to me. It's like his music is like speech, like listen. And then some podcasts I just watch. So I'm saying, like, I get the fatherness or fatherly love or fatherly advices from the music and the people that I like to watch.
Yeah.
So that makes me a man. Like, that's what I take in to be what I am.
That's really powerful. It's really powerful because you're in a generation where that's more available, that maybe previous generations did not have those tools. But do you feel like when you look at your future, do you see fatherhood in your future?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because as I told you, I have a nephew. And sometimes I'm there with him all day. So I'm taking care of him. So I have the fatherness in me.
What kind
The
of
father
what kind of father / uncle are you?
The cool one.
What's something you've taught him recently? Or
Just
something
to
you've
be
done
outside.
something you've done with him recently that was meant something to you?
Yeah, he taught him how to ride a bike.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's nice. That's really nice. God bless you for that. I'm sure he'll never forget that.
But I mean, like, defining like the thing with as an African, the traditional African man, it's like say if I compare myself with my dad, yeah, like growing up, I kid you not, my dad was like, "Yo, Rick, you should never be in the kitchen." Genuinely, I don't think my dad has ever cooked.
Is that because
You
he
know?
saw the shepherd's pie TikTok, or is that because he genuinely was saying that you should not be there? What was he saying to you when he said don't be in the kitchen, as in you're a man, you don't belong there?
Yeah, because I mean, even like I think when I was a kid, like going up country seeing my grandparents and stuff. Yeah, over there was so weird. Like I went to the kitchen and everyone's like, "Yo, what are you doing
here?" Yeah.
Yeah. So you see, and that's how it is like for everyone over there. And let's say for like let's say my dad's friends, like his age group and everyone, like they kind of move like that. And I'd say like that's one of the few things where it's like a bit different.
Because you cook.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like why should I not cook just because I'm a man,
Like Rick, it's
you know?
so ironic, yeah?
Yeah.
Most of the Michelin-starred chefs in the world today
yeah.
are men.
Oh man, I
You
know.
see? So what's the
Yeah,
issue?
but the way
Because if you
they
really want to
start
get
to-
it done well.
Yeah,
You have to
now
do it
watch it now.
yourself.
Watch it now. let me ask you though, Rick.
Nah, I'm joking though.
No, in terms of even going to the village when you were young and whatnot, and seeing
Yeah.
that, I think all of us can relate to that feeling of like, this is where the men belong, this is where the women belong, and you're saying that does not resonate with you now.
Yeah.
Do you see a day and age where, just a similar question as I asked Philo, do you see yourself taking future kids or future family to the village, to shags? Will that be a part of a tradition for you?
I don't know. I don't think I'll like have whatever, like kids. But if let's say I do, or like I have someone who I'm taking care of, I don't think I would like kind of push that mentality. Like this is women's stuff, this is men's
Sure,
stuff.
Sure.
This is because for me it was really weird because I have sisters, and like I think we're all equal, right? But then we go over there, and now it's like, no, you can't do this, and you can't do this, and you can't do this. You see, which doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But
Right.
yeah, so maybe like as a parent, yeah, there's some things where I'd be like, yeah, there's nothing like this,
Yeah.
like break the norms.
And Philo, for you, how would you define the culture that you have amongst the people that you spend the most time with?
I think culture is what we create and what we do, the norms that we believe in, the beliefs and everything. Like, for example, it's a culture not to rock Adidas with Nike, but for you maybe you'll rock Adidas with Nike, but for us it's like don't mix the Nike with the three stripes. Well, that's the culture
Right.
in my world. That's it.
So if I was to be like a fly on the wall with your friends for a day, what would I see? What culture would I see?
See, basically music, fashion, arts, like expression. Like guys who just express themselves. The way they dress, the way they talk.
What would the values be?
Values, freedom. Like freedom in the sense that they are in their own niche. They don't think about the outside world. In that space that they are, whatever they believe, that's it. Yeah, that's my own
Yeah,
definition.
I think it's just being more in tune with what you like, what you resonate with. Like the more, say example, like you can like fashion. You can really like fashion, but you're not really living that life. So I wouldn't say like you're cultured, because I think you're only cultured if you're actually living, what you believe in, or like. Yeah, I think that's
True,
what
true,
makes
true.
it like cultured. Because if you're not living it, then you're uncultured. Because you need
That's
to be
true.
true to what you
Believe in.
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
reminds me, at the beginning of the interview, one of the definitions for your generation is authenticity. That you really value authenticity. So I hear that resonating in your answer. Okay, so I want to do a rapid fire question with you all. I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to give you like 3 options, and I just want to see what your response is.
Alright.
Hopefully these are very clear. So I'm going to read a statement, give you some options, and you just say, and you can say it at the same time. I'm curious to see if you'll answer the same or if it'll be different. Okay. So before making a purchase, and I feel like for this group, I need to define what that purchase is. Otherwise, I'll get all your feedback about depends on what it is. It depends on the context. So before buying, let me say a t-shirt, just a simple t-shirt, okay? Not anything special, just a t-shirt you need for gymming or something, okay? You will A, ask your friend's opinion, B, check online for information or ratings, or C, just buy it.
B.
Just buy it.
B.
Okay, so mixed. 2 of you saying we'll check with info online.
Yeah.
Philo, you're saying you'll say check with friends. Sias, you said just buy it? You said check with friends. You said
Just buy it.
just buy it. Okay, interesting. Next question. If you haven't...
say you're buying like a phone. What would you do? Would you just like buy?
Higher stakes, yeah.
Oh yeah, you have to.
You have to review.
You have to
After
really
you
review
said
that
the
thing.
shirt.
If
Yeah.
I've said a shirt, but he's just giving
No,
me
but
a
then
question.
if you're buying like
Yeah.
Something that's of higher value, yes, you
Yeah,
have to
higher
consider.
value.
Yeah, then you have to
Yeah,
check
yeah,
online.
you
Yeah.
have to.
check all the opinions.
You have to.
All the
How do you
reviews. Watch
decide?
all the
Opinions
YouTube
and
reviews.
options.
all their YouTube reviews.
Interesting. That's where you're going for the information. It's YouTube.
Yeah.
Yes, they
I'm
do.
really
like-
going to date
'Cause I
myself.
trust
Me, it
other
was
people's
Consumer
judgments.
Reports, but
Rick,
you probably
even
have
check the
heard of that.
unboxing. Everything.
Yeah.
you check
Like
everything.
before you buy like a phone, you've watched all the unboxings, like all the
I have never
All the
once...
setting up,
product
phone,
review.
product reviews,
Everything.
You have to check out
Pros and
everything.
cons, everything.
Pros and
Yeah,
cons,
whenever you're
everything.
buying, like most of the electronic
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, I've never watched
You can-
an unboxing.
So do
ever.
you just go and buy something?
No. I check reviews and check reviews online, and I talk to friends for their experience. I actually ask for recommendations from friends. I'll text friends, say, "What do you think? Do you have this?" But watching an unboxing, what am I going to learn from somebody opening the box?
The experience,
The
that you will
experience
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
experience of opening the box
Yes.
and seeing the product. But that's not going to tell me if that product is good.
He's gonna use it at the end. It's just that's the name's just unboxing, but it's gonna show you how it works.
Yeah, it's not literally just.
It's not like just
It is
unboxing.
no, they literally are just unboxing it.
No,
Okay.
no,
He's
no. They
gonna
do a
use it
full.
before.
They do a full thing, like explanation of what it
unboxing it.
is, and then
Like they show you the
But then
contents.
again, but they've not
Contents
shown you
and
2
manual.
years of them using it to see if it stood the
Understand.
test
no,
of
but
time.
they do more than just open the box. Like
No, it's more or less just a representation of the experience that you will
Yeah, the experience
have.
you'll get
Because
when you're opening it.
Imagine it's an iPhone 14. What's 2 years there? It's like 6 months. You can't get like
Okay, fair. But I think it's interesting that you guys keep using this word experience, that you want to see that person's experience with the product. Me, I'm looking for data. What is the data I can find about that? I don't need to see it. I can read
the
it.
data's just.
they're
Yeah.
showing you the data.
I
on
don't need to see
screen,
a
just press
visual
the button.
representation of that.
I
Okay,
don't know.
next question. Okay, if you have an unexpected 2,000 shillings in your pocket, would you A, save it, B, spend it, C, give it away, or D, X other?
Spend it.
spend it.
Spend it.
Yes.
Unanimous, spend it.
You only live once.
Mm.
Hey, what would you spend it on?
Hey, you'd be so happy to get a 2,000 that you didn't even
2,000 is a
plan for.
lot. Yeah. What
Be
would you
so
what would you, what
happy.
would you what would you spend it on?
Depends on the day.
Yeah.
Today, right now.
Maybe Uber.
Uber to where? Where are you going?
Just have some things.
Uber has to have a destination.
Don't know, but I'll use it on transport first.
Transport. Either way, it's on transport. Okay.
I would appropriate it. I would not spend it immediately. I would appropriate it for a time where I feel I will need it, which may be in the next 2 or 3 days, and so that I can actually have some cash in hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saving it, but it's going to be spent soon.
In the end, it will be spent.
It'll be spent very soon.
Yes.
Okay, Silas?
Probably added to like a budget for studio sessions.
Saving it, but spending it soon. Okay.
Yeah.
Rick?
If I had
We'd
the
love to
2K,
hear
like
that.
right now,
2K right now. I'm giving you 2K right now.
let's go out. I'd get guys lunch or something.
You go
Or
get
like,
some.
if yeah, just spend it on people around me.
Oh,
Yeah.
see, Rick is
How
so
Ah,
how
that's
nice.
benevolent.
So
Huh?
nice. Okay.
That's not
I don't
true.
believe that.
That is true.
Okay, next
It is
question.
true.
Okay, let's say you have your alarm clock, which I know you guys don't use clocks, so your watch or your phone is off by an hour. So all of a sudden you have an extra hour in your day that you also was not budgeted, it wasn't planned for. Oh, you have an extra hour in your day. Will you A, take a nap, B, go on TikTok, C, hang out with a friend?
If a friend is there, I'll hang out with my friend.
If my friend is there, I'll hang out with a friend.
Same.
I'm not.
Nice. So you value that human connection.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is-
but
is-
the thing is that like an hour is not that long, so you
Mm.
can't like what's it called?
It's not
Well, in
like
that
you-
case, I would take a nap for sure.
Take a nap.
In the day.
Yeah, of
The day.
course.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're
Well, I
old.
was going to ask you if this
Energy
is
is
like
expensive.
I was going to ask you if this is a post-COVID reaction, like I'll hang out with a friend because we had all that time where we were isolated. Has that affected, do you think, your generation and how you think about that connection?
I think post-COVID is when people are just so in deep in socials. Like it's just made you to be on your phone. Like before that, the phone was not that much of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because after that, we had like Clubhouse and like guys could just do a video chat. Everything was just on the phone.
Yeah.
I think post-COVID, that's when things just started going.
Yeah, made it worse.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, and I think also it's just because your experience, let's say an hour on TikTok, as much as it's stimulating, I think an
Yeah.
hour with a friend is
It'll be
much
more gratifying, yes.
Yeah,
I'm
you'll
so
feel
glad to
better.
hear that. That really makes me happy.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it does feel, I will speak as somebody again from another generation, that you would prefer that connection. So I think even we might tend to make the mistake of looking at someone, seeing them on their phone and being like, oh, they'd rather be on their phone. Or even with my own kids, oh, they're in their room, let me leave. But actually, maybe if we go initiate a conversation, let me take you out for coffee, whatever, that people actually would appreciate that more.
Yeah.
Okay.
True that.
That was a wonderful conversation, but we are just getting warmed up. We decided to pause and give you a part 2 of this conversation. The cameras kept rolling. The young men kept talking. We talked about elections. Some of them voted, some of them did not. And they tell us why. They tell us what they think about when they think about their futures, how they see themselves, what they're feeling, what makes them anxious, who they're getting advice from. So part 2 is not to be missed. It's going to be linked up later today. Don't miss it. Part 2 Gen Z has entered the chat. You don't want to miss it. You can find us everywhere at Salam and Hello, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You know how it is. And join us for part 2 of our conversation with Gen Z.